Hello all, this is Neil McGurk. I'm a Division Disaster Director within the Southwestern Rocky Mountains Division, and I want to thank you for watching this quick casework briefing. So before we jump into this, I wanted to start by saying a big thank you to everyone for the amazing work that you guys do on a 24/7 basis to ensure that those people who've been impacted by the disasters have the support, the guidance, and the assistance that they need in order to begin their recovery. So the purpose of this briefing is to really jump into a couple of the issues that we're seeing really across the board in casework. So we're going to talk a little about data entry and some of the common errors that we're seeing within CAS 2.0, so the narratives, and then follow-up. And the intention here is to always continue to seek out ways that we can improve the process, improve the data entry, so that as we start to jump into the casework process and the follow-up process, those caseworkers have what they need in order to continue the excellent work that you guys have done at the scene of the disaster. So the first item that we're going to talk about is data entry, and I'm going to go through some of the common things that we're seeing of where we can trip up some of the things within the cases. The first one is by marking a case that's livable while providing not livable assistance, so keep track of that one. The other one is that marking a case that the client has a place to stay while providing lodging assistance, and the reverse. So if you provide lodging assistance but you stated that they have a place to stay, it throws off our fiscal reviewers and it throws off sort of that follow-up caseworker. The other one is to make sure that the household count equals the actual number of individuals listed in the case and the assistance that provided. And if for some reason that's off and it's authorized, then make sure you note that within the case narrative. The other piece is very important is we need to ensure that you're providing the second responder's name and good contact information for that responder. This helps our fiscal review team if they have to do any contact information or need to make any other inquiries on the case. And so make sure you have that second responder's name and phone number included on the case. And a really important aspect to remember on the data entry is that all case data, including the narrative, must be entered into CAS within 24 hours. So the next item that we're going to talk about is the case narrative. Now, the case narrative is a vital component of the case because it allows the information that is obtained by the DAT responder or the caseworker on the scene to really allow the follow-up caseworker and give them the information they need in order to provide the best possible service as that family continues their recovery. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the guidelines that need to be in a good, solid, healthy narrative. So first thing is to ensure that when you're presenting information by the clients that you preface it with the client states. Now, you don't have to write word for word what they're saying, but summarize what they're saying about what their unmet needs are or what resources they have, how they were impacted by the event, and their general overall condition. Don't include unnecessary information or confidential information related to health or mental health needs or services. Also, don't make assumptions. Don't assume that something's happened. And again, keep it very factually oriented about what how the client's been impacted and what their needs are. Also, don't include any confidential information regarding any legal matters as well. So we're just going to continue on our guidelines. Is that ensure that when you're making a narrative entry, know that the system captures the name and date at the time of the entry. So sometimes you may be recording that information that has been conducted, where the interview has been conducted by someone else. Make sure you put that information of who was conducting the interview, if it wasn't you, in the narrative. That ensures that, again, if that follow-up caseworker or someone who's reviewing the case needs to ask additional information about how the client was impacted, that they know who to refer to. So here's an example of a narrative. Again, you're putting at the very top what the client is stating. Again, we're going to be very factual about the narrative, how the client was impacted, what the event was. Was it a flood? Was it a fire? How was the residents impacted? And what the clients lost. So again, you are listening to the client through that interview, and you're just putting down factual information, how they were impacted, how the home was damaged by the event, who was there at the home at the time of the event, and what their needs are. And then understanding that some information may not be available at the time of the disaster, but if it is, if you have the fire department out on scene and they've told you that they've pulled the electrical box from the house, well, who told you that? Just put their rank and name and identify what happened. So the fire lieutenant, whoever the name happens to be, stated that the electrical box was pulled and services has been disconnected from the home. Those types of things. That's basic information. You're just putting factual information about how the family's been impacted and what their next plans are. And that's what we're going to talk about here on the next slide, is really what the initial household recovery plans are. So as you can see here on the household recovery plans, you're putting sort of their immediate plans. Where they're going to spend tonight. Are we putting them into a hotel? Are we providing them that assistance? Or are they going to go stay with friends, family? Are they going to be able to stay in their home? You just want to gather that kind of information. Again, long-range plans, may not have them at the time of the fire, but as we get into the follow-up casework piece, you can start to put more information into this section of the narrative. And then any other assistance that's being provided, or whether or not they're being referred to other organizations. Follow-up casework is a vital element of our overall casework program. The goal is that our caseworkers can work with the clients, engage them with other organizations that they may need assistance with, provide them and advocate with them with their insurance company, with landlords, things like that, that we can enable that client to really help and manage and take care of their own recovery. And so that's why it's so important that we make the first follow-up call to clients within 48 to 72 hours, because this is the time that most clients can start to begin thinking about their recovery and what assistance they're going to need. This also allows the caseworker the time to document their recovery plan and start the process in providing referrals to meet their needs, and also with advocating with other organizations. Know that additional follow-up calls will be required with each case to ensure that the client's needs are being met, that they have the proper referrals, and things like that. There is no set amount of calls that a client needs to have, but it's ensured that whenever you do receive a call, whenever you're making those calls, that you're making notes, because it's important that you may not be the only caseworker, follow-up caseworker, that a client is dealing with. And so if you initiate that call, make a couple calls, and then tomorrow the client calls in, reaches another caseworker, that caseworker needs to be able to go into CAS, read the notes, and get a picture for how that client's been impacted and the advocacy and the referrals that you have already provided. This ensures that seamless process with the client to ensure that we're not telling them to go to multiple places, we're not calling the landlord twice, those types of things to advocate that we really are being the best possible caseworker. And the way that we do that is with good, consistent notes within CAS. It's also ensure that we cannot close a case until documentation is complete and the client is able to manage their recovery. So as I mentioned, we're looking to improve the way that our cases are documented within CAS. And so we've provided this initial briefing just as a quick reminder of some of the activities and components that we really need to ensure are strongly documented within the system. If we start to find in certain areas with an individual caseworker or with a team that there are still areas that are not being documented the way that they necessarily should be, then what we're going to be doing is one of our coaches, some of our people who are reviewing the cases for quality, will be reaching out and providing additional education. Those education may be done through other videos, maybe through sort of one-on-one coaching, those types of things. So again, please understand that if someone does reach out to you, it's not a bad thing. The intention there is to find ways to improve our overall casework process, and this will allow us to improve the service that we're providing to our clients. So I'm going to wrap up by saying thank you again. So whether you're a DAP member, whether you're a casework supervisor, a disaster program manager, a fiscal reviewer, it's all of us together as a team that really makes these services possible. So thank you guys for your dedicated service, and thank you for taking time to watch this briefing.